you become less insulin sensitive without estrogen. Does that mean you're supposed to gain weight? No. So I came up with the guiding light for menopausal women, and I call it the primal menopausal diet. This girl gang, I want to break the girl gang down today, and I want to take it in, and I'm going to do it through glucose and insulin. And then I want to do it through the lens of our mood molecules, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. So we're just gonna, there are 12 members of the girl gang. Well, there's 10, and then I had to call them honorary members because they're not necessarily neurochemicals. And the members look like this. It's estrogen stimulated dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, glutamate, GABA, oxytocin, BDNF, insulin, glucose. It may help the glucose insulin system manage that, collagen, and creatine. She had a hand in making sure all those molecules were balanced in your body. And when she went away, or when she was in the process of going away, all of a sudden your glucose insulin system goes off. You become less insulin sensitive without estrogen. That's by design. Okay, does that mean you're supposed to gain weight? No, but your food needs to change. And the ultra processed foods that you were able to deal with and get away with in your 20s and 30s, your menopausal body is like, no, I don't know what to do with that, so I'm going to store it around your belly. And then you go and you look at your belly and you're like, wait a second, menopause is giving me this extra weight. But your body's like, look, estrogen left, she's leaving. And I don't know what to do with these synthetic molecules that you keep giving me. I don't know how to break them down. And I need the liver to break down estrogen so you can think right and these other molecules can come back. So I'm going to need you to change your diet. So if you're still eating the bad oils and the refined flours and the refined sugars, and you're in your late perimenopause, menopausal years, the reason you're gaining weight is because of that. It's because of that. You're more insulin resistant, so you have to change your diet. The other thing that we know is that your brain functions really well off a ketone. And I am a believer that the deeper we get into postmenopausal years, the easier those longer fasts get. And so you're designed to go longer periods without food in your postmenopausal years. This is part of your design. And your body is so brilliant that it makes this ketone by burning fat. That's a really cool mechanism. And then that ketone goes up and it's neuroprotective. So it protects your brain so those neurons don't degenerate. It upregulates antioxidants. It calms the nervous system down. It gives you a boost to GABA. And it balances your heart rate variability. Like, there's so many things that this ketone does. I have pages upon pages in Age Like a Girl on the power of the ketone. Because if you're not fasting and accessing the ketone as a perimenopause or menopausal woman, you're missing out on this magical molecule that solves so many problems. So this is why fasting becomes this, like, you might have been intrigued by it at 30. To me, at 50, it's mandatory. It's mandatory. It's what the hunter and gatherers did. I calculated they went about 17 to 19 hours without food every single day because they had to go use the ketone for focus and calm and to be able to go and get food and bring it back. You're meant to have more ketones. You're meant to keep your glucose low because your glucose insulin system is off. And that's because as estrogen left, that system changed. So when we first started doing fasts, I mean, we did fast training weeks was like our bread and butter in the beginning. It was like how I got all my research. And literally way, way, way in the beginning, as my YouTube channel started to take off, every Thursday morning, I would do a live on my YouTube channel. And just based off of the lack of technological knowledge at that point, my husband would read me the questions that people were asking, and I would answer them. And one of the things we started to see was postmenopausal women, 70, 80 years old, that finally started fasting and lost weight. And they're like, I finally lost my menopausal weight 20 years later. Well, that makes sense, because if you were over here in sugar burner land and you never switched over into fat burner land, then you just got the insulin resistant version of menopause. You never got the, let me make some ketone version of menopause. So I cannot emphasize enough that once we get over into that, more into those postmenopausal years, you are meant to fast longer. It will keep your weight where you want it to be, and you will find your brain functions the way you want it to function, because that is your design. I cannot emphasize that enough. And I know, like, again, the only person out there that's saying postmenopausal women shouldn't fast is Stacy Sims, but she's looking at it from an endurance athlete standpoint. Most of us are not endurance athletes. I'm looking at it from a mental health standpoint. And we could end Alzheimer's, we could end dementia if every single woman understood the power of a ketone and how that is a very, very necessary fuel source. Yeah, and the only way you can make it is by burning fat. And the only way you burn fat is by tacking on these fasting windows. And if you can, the longer you fast, the more fat you burn, the more ketones you make.
Okay, check this out. I have a free fasting guide for you all. It's free, and it's gonna teach you all the basics of fasting. It's gonna teach you how to kill hunger when you fast, which is really cool. And it's gonna show you how to break your fast, among many other things. All you gotta do is click on the link below and enjoy.
When we look at what we should be doing postmenopausally for food, I already told you longer fasts, so we're not going to talk about the fat burner system anymore. We'll talk about the sugar burner system. You know, I've been studying nutrition. It's strangely a strange thing that I've been fascinated by since I was like 13 years old. And I feel like I've read every diet book, tried every diet book. And when the ketogenic diet came out, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, people really can lose weight quick. This is a cool diet. And then we started to see that a lot of people's hair was falling out, and we started to see people were doing too much keto. They were getting keto rashes and all kinds of weird things. And in those early keto days, we had all these macros. You need 10 grams of net carbs. And then I came in and I was like, we need 50 grams net carbs, 10's a little low. And so we were debating the carb. And then, I don't know about you all, but then the protein conversation spiked up in the culture. And all of a sudden it was like, wait a second, stop focusing on the amount of carbs. You also need to focus on the amount of protein. And then it was just like, are you serious? Now I got to count carbs, I got to count protein. Like, I just want to live my life. So I came up with what I feel like is the best way, the guiding light for menopausal women, and I call it the primal menopausal diet. And it's super simple. It's not fancy. And basically, you're going to get rid of all the ultra processed foods. This is your refined flours, your refined sugars, and your bad oils and any toxins that you come in contact with, like NutraSweet. There is no NutraSweet tree. So ask yourself when you read a label if this came from the earth or if it came from a lab. So get all that man-made junk out. And here is what you're going to focus on. And I have no macros for you, and I have no counting for you. I just have some guiding lights. First, yes, we should be eating lots of protein. Eat protein with every meal. I do not have a meal that doesn't have protein in it. And if I'm going to snack, I'm going to snack on protein. Okay, the second macro or food group that's really important is vegetables, fiber. We need fiber to break down hormones. So lots of vegetables, lots of greens. With every meal, we need greens. So I buy the microgreens and then I just pull them out, or I buy like a container of arugula is one of my favorite because it's really good for the liver. And I just pull it out, put it in a bowl, and pour some olive oil on top of it. And I just have greens with every single meal. It's just like sometimes a meal is grass-fed steak on top of a pile of arugula with olive oil dripping over the top of everything, a really high quality olive oil. So you need vegetables. When we look at fruit, from what I can tell from the hunter-gatherer days, they ate a lot of berries, a lot of berries. I don't think I can't find anything wrong with berries. So definitely you need fruit. And I think a lot of people who got into the keto diet started to fear fruit. I got there for a while. I was like, where does fruit fit in? Well, fruit fits in definitely for the menopausal woman. Third category they ate a lot of was nuts and seeds. So if you're vegetarian, this is great. And when we look at nuts and seeds, we want to make sure they're not dry roasted. Dry roasted, at least they don't put oils on top of them, but they kill all the enzymes. And if you really want to get nuts and seeds to work for you, I highly recommend the sprouted. You can also take a dry roasted nut and put it in water overnight, and it starts to re-sprout it again. So if you don't want to spend the extra money on nuts and seeds, but in my salads go nuts and seeds because my husband's allergic to nuts, but I put a lot of pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds in my salads, chia seeds, hemp seeds. So we've got the meat, we've got the fruit, we've got we've got the vegetables, we've got berries. I'm putting them in the order of importance. Then we have nuts and seeds, and then we have to look at our oils. To me, this is really, honestly, the easiest change to make. I promise you, once you stop eating the canola oil, the vegetable oil, the soybean oil, all of those highly processed oils, when you stop eating them, your life will change. You will feel so different. And put in the chat if you've noticed that. So we want to go in to olive oil. Olive oil is amazing. High quality olive oil is better than an omega-3 supplement. So put a lot of olive oil in there. Avocado oil is great. If it's not ultra processed, you can do some of the nut and seed oils if they're not highly processed. So sesame seed is great. Walnut, I've done some walnut oils before, good. And then I guess this is probably should have been up with the fruits and vegetables. Tubers. Everywhere I researched the grandmother hypothesis, they are searching for tubers. So, these are your sweet potatoes, your sunchokes, your regular potatoes. I have probably a sweet potato definitely every other day. I've gone through periods where I probably have it every day. I love the Jackson-owned potato chips, the sweet potato chips. I probably do that every day, but purple potatoes, just more of these these tubers, these root vegetables. If you haven't experimented with sunchokes, I highly recommend it. So that's it. Just eat all that and avoid what I told you. Simple, right? Anybody confused on that? It's like really easy. And then in the book, I have lists of it. and then fast longer. And if we just focus on eating good food that supports our menopausal bodies and we fast longer, you will love living in your body. It's that simple. And you don't have to count everything.
Okay, are you fasting and you're still not losing weight? Check out this video because you might be missing a key part of your fasting experience that's gonna unlock weight loss. So if you think about it, all the humans that emerged out of that time have the gene that allows us to go without food. And that gene, they believe, is in all of us today.